that. It's just an ordinary Krabby. Oh my goodness!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rapidly Aging Tech Bite Size. Today we're going to resist the encroaching improvement of technology and firmly plant ourselves in the past. No more will technology continue to grind forward.
I will dismantle this oppressive establishment board by board!
Because of this. This, as you remember from my previous episode, is a USB to floppy adapter. So you can use an old internal floppy drive over USB. You can see that's the USB connector. And it can be made internal through one of these. So you can see that's an internal USB 2.0 header, and it gives you access to external female ports. Using these two together, we can use the motherboard headers inside on the motherboard there to have an internal floppy drive once again. So a modern motherboard can have an internal floppy. That's the goal, and I think we're going to be able to do it. The first step is to simply get the computer open. And luckily the Corsair 750D has these thumb screws which are fairly convenient. But I will say that the side panels aren't of the thickest material, but altogether it stays pretty solid. Now that we're inside the case, don't forget to use an electrostatic wrist strap, especially right now when it's winter and everything. You can usually feel the static. So get yourself on something grounded, or at the very least the case itself. And now we're going to plug in our adapter. So the motherboard header that is open is right down in here. As you may see, my cable management is awful, as you remember. And if we look at the connector here, we can see that the red are the actual 5 volt. We also have an indicator arrow right there. Looking at the motherboard manual, and or you could just look at the other connector that's in there, you'll see that the red will be on this side. So that's the way we're going to plug it in. All right, the adapter is in. Now we need to remove the drive slot covers by pulling those tabs inward. You probably can't see that one there. Pull the tab in, those tabs kind of get towards each other, pushing that out, and we can insert the drive. So you can see Corsair 750D has a quick release system, so hopefully those will be secure enough for the little adapter we have. All right, let's get this drive slot cover out. As you can see, these are the tabs. They pop right out. Have a brushed aluminum look to them. They feel sort of like metal, at least on the outside, but they might not be. Once again, here's our floppy drive in a adapter. Probably not the best one, but hey, it was out there. It's the same color as the case. You can find these pretty easily. If I haven't mentioned it already, I plan on revealing the source of these, if still available, where I found them. Because I picked up 4, which was the last 4 they had at the moment. Got it from a seller on the UK eBay. So hopefully he's still in business. You know, it probably helps to have the case sitting up on its feet when you're inserting a drive, because it's going to be sitting down that direction anyway. Anyway, the built-in latching system isn't quite firm enough to hold it in place the way I would like. So I'm also putting in an additional screw here. Just a small drive screw. Alright, off camera there, I took off the back panel and put in a drive screw on that side too, because it wasn't quite angling properly in the front of the case, but now it looks alright. Now, at the moment where all these things come together. Alright, now it's connected. Now I'm just going to do some cable management. I like to use zip ties rather than, I like to use twist ties rather than zip ties, because I don't like anything to be too temporary, too permanent. I'm just saying the opposites today. Because who knows what else I'm going to change, and I don't want to have to get in wire cutters and start finagling around in here. That's why I only use really twist ties, Velcro ties, and then I'll use zip ties when I have to, but I'll make them loose enough that I can get in with even scissors. Alright, and here we go. I don't think that looks too bad. I actually like cables flying all over the place. It makes it look more complicated and impressive than it actually is. I remember in electronics class, we would use little breadboards where you put components in, and my friend would always get the perfect length so that you could have it just flat on the board connecting everything. Very clean looking. I use longer cables, little pieces of wire, have them looping up and over and whatnot, just because I found that easier to manipulate with and I would just grab something long enough and fit it in. Mine always looked like the outdated version of whatever he was making, even though they were the exact same thing. Anyway, let's get this fired up and see what happens. Now look at that. That is a real computer. I have ascended from being Schrodinger's computer, having an external USB floppy, to an internal floppy, which must make it a real computer. I'm sure UXW Bill will chime in, or I hope he will, to say whether or not I'm correct. But it all comes down to whether or not this is going to work. Oh, it recognizes the drive. There we go. I'm actually really surprised that it's seeking on boot up. Internal connectors must be handled a little differently than external, because my external drive does not do that. Now it is time for the first moment of truth. Look at that. Floppy A and floppy B. My external Dell Latitude floppy drive should be A. So what we're going to do is insert a disk into B and see what happens. My hard drive seems a bit active, probably pulling in an update. Quick format. Keep in mind that this is actually a different floppy drive from the one I originally used. The other one was a bit rough. Uh-oh. This floppy disk could be bad. This floppy drive could be bad. I should have used one I knew. Oh, darn it. Whenever I have a disk that's starting to act goofy, well, a drive that's starting to act goofy, I pull out this. It has actually resurrected things a couple times, so it could just be dirty. This floppy drive was manufactured in 2007 according to its label, so it should be fine. It came from a goods dealer, so we'll see what I can do with this. Just put a few drops on there and then run it through the drive. As it turns out, neither the drive nor the disk were bad. probably since this has been in storage for so long, it needed to be worked a few times with the heads cleaned, because it seems to be working now. Now the disk did need to be reformatted after going through that. I'm not sure what the drive was doing, but after inserting the cleaning disk and working a disk through it a few times, it seems to be working just fine. So we'll do a quick format here. Then we'll save the file to it, our favorite Windows 98 flag, and we'll read it in the other drive, excuse me. And I think we will have pretty well proven that this system works. I'm going at this from a really awkward angle. Will drive A see the picture? And keep in mind that I have been doing other tests when the camera was off, writing back and forth, doing all sorts of different scenarios. And we can see that the file is there. It takes a while to open a picture file from a floppy, especially one that big. So I'm not going to. Alright, the moral of this story is that this little device, which I think has been something a number of us have been looking for a long time, works. I validated outside of the computer and inside. So now we can finally all have real computers. It's been a while, but our main rigs can be real again. So with that, I'll leave you be. We have stood up to the oppressive forces of technology moving forward, and we've used their weapons against them, USB, to make floppy drives usable again.
I will saw the tables of tyranny in half. Gnaw at the ankles of big business. Hush.
So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And please share this video in part 1 with anyone you know who's been searching for a way to use an internal floppy drive again. With that, I will say goodbye to you. Have a nice day and a Merry Christmas.
The sun has got his hat on, hip, 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 hooray! The sun has got his hat on, and he's coming out today. Now we'll all be...